Captain Daeho Kim stood on the bridge of his ship and looked out at the stars. The ship was called the Harmony, and it was supposed to be a research vessel. But Daeho knew better. Hidden under the clean white panels and research equipment were weapons that could destroy entire fleets. It had been 15 years since Earth signed the Galactic Accord. 15 long years of pretending to be weak. The alien races in the coalition had made the rules very clear. Humans could join their group, but they could never build warships again. Earth had to agree or face complete destruction. Daeho remembered the day the treaty was signed. He was just a young officer then, watching as Ambassador Taejun Lee smiled and shook hands with the alien leaders. The aliens thought they had won. They thought humans would stay weak forever. They were wrong. Dr. Sora Park walked onto the bridge carrying a tablet full of reports. She was the chief engineer, and she was also the smartest person Daeho had ever met. Before the treaty, she had built weapons for the Earth military. Now she built the same weapons, but she called them something else. The mining lasers are working. Perfectly, Sora said with a small smile. That was their code. The mining lasers were actually particle beam weapons strong enough to cut through the hull of any alien ship. But on paper, they were tools for breaking apart asteroids. Good, Daeho replied. How about the power systems? The experimental reactor is running at full capacity, Sora answered. The reactor was not experimental at all. It was a military-grade fusion engine that could power their weapons and shields. But the aliens thought it was just a test for future peaceful technology. The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. Every person on the ship knew the truth about what they were really doing. They were not scientists or miners or peaceful explorers. They were soldiers preparing for a war that might come any day. Lieutenant Haewon Jin monitored the communication systems. Her job was to listen for any signs that the aliens were getting suspicious. So far, the coalition inspectors had visited the Harmony 3 times. Each time they saw exactly what they expected to see: research equipment, scientific experiments, and peaceful humans who seemed grateful to be part of the galactic community. The aliens were blind to what was really happening. Their arrogance made them stupid. They could not imagine that the humans they had defeated could be planning anything dangerous. To them, humans were just another weak species that needed protection and guidance. Daeho walked to the tactical station where Ensign Kyung-soo Park was working. The young officer was running simulations on what looked like asteroid tracking software, but Daeho could see the real data on the screen. Enemy ship movements, weapon ranges, and battle scenarios. Any interesting rocks out there? Daeho asked. Several. Large ones, sir? Kyung-soo replied. Some might need careful handling. This meant there were alien warships nearby and they might be hostile. The door to the bridge opened, and Commander Yun-ho Choi entered. He was the ship's first officer, and had been with Daeho since the beginning of their secret mission. His face was serious, which usually meant bad news. Captain, we have new orders from Earth, Yun-ho said quietly. He handed Daeho a datapad that looked like a routine supply request. But when Daeho read it, he saw the real message hidden in the innocent words. The message was from Admiral Hae-jin Song, the secret leader of Earth's hidden fleet. The aliens were planning something big. Vulcan warships were moving toward human colonies. The official story was that they were conducting training exercises, but everyone knew the truth. The Vulcans wanted to test human defenses. Daeho looked at his crew. These people had spent years pretending to be something they were not. They had hidden their weapons behind false names and fake purposes. They had smiled at alien inspectors while planning for the day they might have to fight for Earth's freedom. Set course for the mining zone near Europa, Daiho ordered. To anyone listening, it sounded like they were going to look for valuable minerals. But Europa was also where they kept some of their best hidden weapons. As the Harmony changed course, Daiho thought about the other ships like his. There were hundreds of them scattered across human space, mining vessels that were actually destroyers, research ships that carried enough firepower to level cities, construction platforms that could build new weapons in secret. The aliens had made one big mistake. They had tried to control humans by making rules about what they could build, but they had not made rules about what humans could call the things they built. A weapon was only a weapon if someone said it was a weapon. Everything else was just equipment. Dr. Sora Park joined Daiho at the main viewing screen. They watched as Europa grew larger in front of them. Somewhere on that frozen moon was a hidden base that the aliens would never find. It looked like a mining operation, but it was actually a weapons factory. "Do you think they suspect anything?" Sora asked quietly. "Some of them do," Daiho replied, "but not enough of them, and not soon enough." The Harmony reached Europa and began its fake mining operation. Robot machines on the surface started digging into the ice, just like they were supposed to. But deep underground, other machines were building missiles and energy weapons. Daiho received another message, this one from the surface base. The commander down there was reporting that production was ahead of schedule. Soon they would have enough hidden weapons to defend every human colony in the galaxy. The aliens thought they had won the war 15 years ago. They thought the treaty had made humans safe and harmless. But humans had never stopped fighting. They had just learned to fight in a different way. As the day ended, Daiho stood alone on the bridge and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien fleets were preparing for war. They thought they were strong and humans were weak. They thought their technology and numbers would be enough to win any battle. But they did not know about the secret fleet. They did not know about the hidden weapons. They did not know that humans had spent 15 years preparing for this moment. The Galactic Accord had been meant to keep peace in the galaxy, but it had only delayed the war that was coming. When that war finally began, the aliens would learn that humans had never really agreed to be weak. They had only agreed to pretend. Commander Woojin Choi floated through the metal corridors of what looked like a simple mining station. But he knew the truth about this place. Hidden inside the hollowed-out asteroid were the most advanced shipyards humans had ever built. The sign on the wall said, "Mining Station Alpha 7, but the workers here were not mining anything. They were building warships. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter was the perfect place to hide their secret. Thousands of rocks floated in the darkness, and most of them really were just rocks. But dozens of them had been carefully hollowed out and turned into hidden factories. The aliens never bothered to check every single asteroid. There were too many of them. Woojin pushed himself along a handrail toward the main construction bay. Through the thick windows, he could see the skeletal frame of a new ship taking shape. To any inspector who might accidentally find this place, it would look like a cargo hauler being built for peaceful trade, but Woojin knew it was actually a destroyer with enough weapons to fight 10 alien ships at once. Engineer Min Seo-han was waiting for him in the observation deck. She was holding a tablet showing the technical plans for their newest creation. Her team had spent months designing ships that could fool anyone who did not know what to look for. "The new Prospector-class ships are almost ready," Minseo said. "From the outside, they look exactly like the cargo ships we are supposed to be building. But inside, She showed Wu Jin the real plans. Hidden weapon ports that looked like cargo doors. Armor plating disguised as structural supports. Shield generators labeled as navigation equipment. Every part of the ship had two purposes, and only one of them was legal. "How many can we build this month?" Wu Jin asked. "6 ships here," Min Seo replied. "The other stations are building 8 more. By the end of the year, we will have a full squadron of hidden destroyers." Wu Jin nodded. It was not fast enough, but it was the best they could do without attracting attention. Each ship had to be built carefully, with fake records and false documentation. On paper, they were building peaceful cargo vessels for trade between the colonies. In reality, they were building a secret fleet that could defend Earth when the time came. They walked together to the communications center, where technician Dong Wook Nam was monitoring the quantum communication network. This was perhaps their most important secret. The aliens could intercept normal radio signals, but quantum communications were impossible to detect or decode. "Any word from the other stations?" Wu Jin asked. "Station Beta 3 reports they finished another Explorer-class ship yesterday," Dong Wook said. "Station Gamma 1 says they need more materials for their current project." The Explorer-class ships were Min Seo's proudest achievement. They looked exactly like scientific research vessels, complete with sensor arrays and laboratory equipment. But hidden beneath the scientific equipment were stealth systems that could make the ships invisible to alien sensors. They also carried long-range missiles that could strike targets from across a solar system. Wu Jin reviewed the status reports from all the hidden stations. Production was going well, but they needed more raw materials. That was always the biggest challenge. They had to steal materials from legitimate mining operations without anyone noticing. Director Ji Hae-yoon of Stellar Industries had solved this problem in a clever way. Her company had contracts to mine asteroids for the colonies, but some of the materials never made it to their official destinations. Instead, they were quietly diverted to the secret shipyards. The accounting was perfect. On paper, the missing materials had been lost in accidents or used for legitimate construction projects. The aliens never questioned human inefficiency. They expected humans to lose some materials to mistakes and equipment failures. A new message came through the quantum network. It was from Earth, and it was marked urgent. Wu Jin read it quickly, and his face became serious. "What is it?" Min Seo asked. "Intelligence reports that the Velkans are asking more questions about our mining operations," Wu Jin said. "They want to inspect some of our facilities." This was what they had always feared. If the aliens started looking too closely at their operations, they might discover the truth. But they had prepared for this possibility. "Which facilities do they want to inspect?" Min Seo asked. "Only the real ones," Wu Jin replied with relief. "They want to see Mining Station Delta 5 and the processing facility at Ceres. Both of those are actually mining operations. The humans had built their deception in layers. They had real mining stations that did real mining work. These facilities would pass any inspection because they were exactly what they appeared to be. The aliens would see busy workers functioning, equipment, and steady production of materials, but they would never see the secret stations. Those were hidden deeper in the asteroid belt, in rocks that looked too small or too worthless to bother with. The aliens would inspect the obvious places and never think to look for the hidden ones. Wu Jin and Min Seo went to inspect the latest ship under construction. It was nearly finished, and soon it would join the secret fleet. From the outside, it looked like every other cargo ship humans had built since the treaty. But inside, it was a marvel of hidden engineering. The weapons were built into the cargo holds. The armor was disguised as structural reinforcement. The military communications equipment was labeled as entertainment systems for the crew. Even the engines were designed to look less powerful than they really were. "How do we explain the extra power output?" Wu Jin asked. "We don't," Minseo said with a smile. "The engines are designed to run at 50% power during normal operations. If anyone scans them, they will see exactly what they expect to see. But in combat, we can push them to full power." It was brilliant deception, but it required perfect coordination. Every person working on the secret project had to know exactly what to say if anyone asked questions. Every record had to be consistent with the cover story. Every ship had to look and act like what it was supposed to be. The workers in the shipyard moved with quiet efficiency. They knew they were building humanity's future, but they also knew they had to be careful. One mistake could expose everything they had worked for. Wu Jin received another message, this one from Admiral Hyojin Song herself. The secret fleet was growing larger every month, but it was still not large enough. The aliens had thousands of warships. Humans had built only a few hundred hidden ones. But numbers were not everything. The human ships had advantages that the aliens did not expect. They had weapons designed for asteroid mining that could cut through any armor. They had engines built for industrial work that were more reliable than military ones. They had crews who knew how to make broken equipment work and how to fight with whatever they had. As Wu Jin floated back through the hidden corridors of the station, he thought about the war that was coming. The aliens thought they had all the advantages. They had more ships, better technology, and the element of surprise. But they did not know about the secret shipyards. They did not know about the hidden fleet. They did not know that humans had spent 15 years preparing for the day when the treaty would not be enough to keep the peace. When that day came, the aliens would learn that humans were much better at building warships than they had ever been at following rules. Admiral Hyojin Song stared at the tactical display in her hidden command center beneath Seoul. Red dots showed Vulcan warships moving through space toward human colonies. The aliens called it a training exercise, but everyone knew what it really was. The Vulcans were testing to see if humans would fight back. For 15 years, the secret fleet had trained and prepared. But training was not the same as real combat. Hyojin knew that sooner or later they would have to prove that their hidden weapons actually worked. That day had come sooner than expected. The distress signal came from the merchant ship New Seoul, carrying 5,000 colonists to a new world. 3 Vulcan attack ships had appeared out of nowhere and were demanding that the colonists surrender. The official coalition response would take weeks to arrive, if it came at all. Captain Subin Park received the emergency message on her ship, the asteroid miner 7th. Like all the hidden warships, her vessel looked exactly like what its name suggested. The hull was covered with mining equipment, and the cargo holds appeared to be full of processing machinery. But Subin knew that beneath the disguise was one of the most powerful warships humans had ever built. "Captain, we're receiving a distress call," reported Communications Officer Bo Ram Kim. "The New Seoul is under attack by Vulcan raiders." Subin looked at her tactical display. The New Seoul was helpless against 3 Vulcan attack ships. The colonists would be captured or killed unless someone helped them. The nearest coalition patrol was days away. "How long to reach the New Seoul?" Subin asked. 40 minutes at full speed," replied Navigator Junseo Lee, "but if we reveal our true capabilities—" Subin understood. For 15 years, they had hidden their strength. If they acted now, the secret might be exposed, but if they did nothing, thousands of innocent people would die. "All hands, prepare for combat operations," Subin announced. "Engineering, Begin converting to military configuration. Throughout the ship, hidden panels slid open to reveal weapon systems. Mining lasers rotated to show their true purpose as particle beam weapons. Cargo doors opened to launch missile tubes. The industrial equipment dissolved away to show the warship underneath. Engineer Min Jae Park monitored the transformation from the engine room. Fusion reactor at full military power, he reported. All weapon systems coming online. Shields at maximum strength. The asteroid miner 7th accelerated toward the battle. On sensors, it still looked like a mining ship rushing to help. But Subin knew that in a few minutes, the Velkans would learn the truth about human engineering. Weapons Officer Kyung-ho Lim prepared the targeting systems. The mining lasers had been designed to cut through the hardest asteroids. Velkan armor would not be a problem. "All weapons ready, Captain," he reported. "Remember," Subin said to her crew, "we need to make this look like an accident. The Velkans cannot be allowed to report what really happened here." The 3 Velkan ships were circling the New Sol like predators around wounded prey. Their commanders were probably enjoying the helplessness of their victims. They had no idea that help was coming. "Velkan ships, this is the mining vessel asteroid. Miner 7th, Subin broadcast. "We are responding to a distress call. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." The Velkan commander's response was full of arrogance. "Human mining ship, leave this area immediately. We are conducting security operations against smugglers." "I see no evidence of smuggling," Subin replied calmly. "The New Sol appears to be a legitimate colony transport. Please provide proper authorization for your actions." The Velkans were getting angry. They were not used to being questioned by humans. "Human ship, depart now or be destroyed," the Velkan commander snarled. Subin smiled grimly. "I'm afraid I cannot comply with that request. Beginning rescue operations now." The battle began when the nearest Velkan ship fired a warning shot across the bow of the asteroid Miner 7. The energy beam passed harmlessly through space, but it gave Subin the excuse she needed. "They fired first," she announced to her crew. "Defend the ship. All weapons. Open fire." The transformation was stunning. The peaceful mining vessel suddenly unleashed enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. Particle beams designed to slice through asteroids carved through Velkan armor like it was paper. Missiles disguised as mining charges struck with devastating accuracy. The first Velkan ship exploded before its commander could even understand what was happening. The second ship tried to turn and flee, but human weapons were faster. The third ship managed to send a brief emergency signal before it too was destroyed. The entire battle lasted less than 10 minutes. 3 Velkan warships reduced to debris, and the New Sol was safe. But now came the most important part of the operation. Intelligence Officer Ja Yoon Kim activated the evidence destruction systems. Specialized drones swept through the debris field, collecting any pieces that might show human weapon signatures. The official story would be that the Velkan ships had suffered catastrophic system failures. "All traces of our weapons removed," Ja Yoon reported. "The debris field shows only standard Velkan technology, no evidence of human military capability." Captain Subin opened a channel to the New Sol. "This is Captain Subin Park of the mining vessel Asteroid Miner 7. Are you in need of assistance?" The grateful voice of the colony ship's captain came through clearly. "Captain Park, you saved our lives. We saw the Velkan ships explode, but we couldn't tell what happened. Did they have some kind of accident?" "It appears their ship suffered simultaneous reactor failures," Subin replied. "A tragic but not uncommon occurrence in deep space. We'll escort you to your destination to ensure your safety." As the two ships traveled together toward the colony world, Subin thought about what had just happened. The secret fleet had passed its first real test. Human weapons worked exactly as designed, but more importantly, they had managed to keep the secret. The rescued colonists would remember being saved by a mining ship that arrived at just the right moment. The Velkin High Command would receive reports of another accident among their raiders. The Coalition would see no evidence of human military activity. Back on Earth, Admiral Hyojin Song received Subin's report with satisfaction. The test had been a complete success. Human crews could fight and win against alien warships. Human weapons were superior to anything the aliens had. And most importantly, the secret was still safe. But Hyojin knew this was only the beginning. The Velkins would not be satisfied with losing a few ships to accidents. They would send more raiders, and eventually, they would send investigators. The time of perfect secrecy was ending. Soon, humanity would have to make a choice. They could continue hiding their strength and hope the aliens never discovered the truth, or they could reveal their power and face the consequences. The first battle of the coming war had been fought and won, but the real test was still ahead. Investigator Mordak of the Velkin Intelligence Service stood before a holographic display showing the wreckage of 3 warships. His species had been raiding human colonies for months, but lately, their ships kept experiencing mechanical failures at the most inconvenient times. The pattern was too obvious to ignore. "Show me the Kepler incident again," Mordak ordered his assistant. The hologram shifted to show another debris field. 3 more Velkin ships destroyed, officially by reactor malfunctions. But Mordak had been investigating space accidents for 20 years. He knew the difference between real mechanical failure and enemy action. "The energy signatures are wrong," Mordak said, pointing at the analysis data. These ships were destroyed by external weapons, not internal explosions. Someone is lying about what happened here. On Earth, Counterintelligence Director Junho Bei monitored alien communications from his office in Seoul. His team had intercepted Mordak's reports, and they knew the Velkins were getting suspicious. It was time to improve their deception. "We need better cover stories," Junho told his staff. "The accidents need to look more convincing." Dr. Young-Suk Han, his chief scientist, had already prepared several options. "We can create false sensor data showing solar radiation storms in each area where battles occurred. Radiation can cause ship systems to malfunction." "What about the timing?" asked intelligence analyst Insu Park. "The storms would have to happen exactly when our ships arrive to help." "Space weather is unpredictable," Young-Suk replied with a smile. "Sometimes rescue ships just get lucky." Meanwhile, in Velkin space, General Vexillar was losing patience with the mysterious accidents. His raiders were the best trained in the Coalition fleet, but they kept dying in increasing numbers. The humans claimed it was bad luck and mechanical problems, but Vexillar suspected sabotage. "I want a full inspection of human space facilities," Vexillar demanded during a Coalition Council meeting. "Their mining ships always seem to arrive just in time to witness our accidents. That is too convenient." Ambassador Tae-Jun Lee listened to the accusations with carefully practiced concern. "General Vexillar, we share your confusion about these tragic incidents. Earth would be happy to cooperate with any investigation that might prevent future accidents." The FI agreement to allow inspections was exactly what the humans had wanted. Junho's team had spent years preparing for this moment. They had built fake facilities that would pass any examination while keeping the real military bases completely hidden. Chief Medical Officer Eun Jung-oh prepared her ship. The medical research vessel Healing Light for the upcoming inspection. Like all the hidden warships, her vessel had been designed to fool even the most careful examination. Remember, Yunjung told her crew, we are conducting research into the effects of space radiation on human health. All our equipment has medical purposes. The particle accelerator is for cancer treatment research. The high-energy containment fields are for radioactive material storage. The fact that the same equipment could be used as weapons was never mentioned in any official document. The inspection team arrived 3 days later. Mordak himself led the group, accompanied by technical experts from several alien species. They examined every system on the ship with suspicious eyes. This particle accelerator is very powerful for medical research, Mordak observed. Cancer is a stubborn disease, Yunjung replied calmly. We need precise, high-energy beams to target tumor cells without damaging healthy tissue. Would you like to see our treatment data? Mordak studied the medical records that Yunjung provided. They showed years of cancer research and successful treatments. The data was completely fake, but it had been created by the best intelligence specialists on Earth. What about these containment fields? Another inspector asked. They seem designed to hold much more energy than medical isotopes would require. Safety first, Yunjung said. We work with experimental treatments that might be unpredictable. These fields can contain any radiation leak or unexpected reaction. The inspectors found exactly what they expected to find: medical equipment, research data, and humans who seemed grateful for the chance to contribute to galactic science. They saw no weapons, no military systems, and no evidence of deception. But Mordak was not satisfied. I want to inspect their mining operations as well, he told his team. If they are hiding military technology, it might be disguised as industrial equipment. The mining inspection was even more carefully orchestrated. The humans showed the aliens around legitimate mining facilities where real work was being done. They demonstrated asteroid processing equipment, ore refinement systems, and cargo loading operations. As you can see, explained Mining Director Tae Hyung Ko, our equipment is designed for industrial efficiency, not military applications. These lasers can only cut through rock, and our cargo ships are built for carrying heavy loads, not combat maneuvers. The demonstration was perfectly convincing because most of it was true. The equipment really could mine asteroids and process ore. The fact that the same lasers could cut through armor plating and the cargo ships could carry hidden weapons was not mentioned. Mordak examined the mining lasers closely. These have significant power output, he noted. Asteroids are tough, Tae Hyung replied. Some of the metals we mine are harder than anything found on most worlds. We need industrial-strength equipment to break them apart efficiently. The inspection teams visited facility after facility, finding busy workers, functioning equipment, and steady production. The humans appeared to be exactly what they claimed to be, a peaceful species focused on trade and scientific research. But some of the inspectors noticed small details that bothered them. The human workers seemed unusually disciplined for civilians. The equipment was maintained to military standards. The security procedures were more careful than most research facilities. Required. They are hiding something, Mordak reported to General Vexillar. I cannot prove it. But these humans are not as helpless as they appear. Do you have evidence of treaty violations? Vexillar asked. No direct evidence, Mordak admitted. But the patterns are suspicious. Their ships always arrive at the right time. Their equipment is more advanced than necessary. Their crews are too well trained for civilians. Vexillar was frustrated, but he could not act without proof. The coalition required evidence before taking action against member species. Suspicions and patterns were not enough to justify military intervention. "Continue monitoring," Vexlar ordered. "If the humans are violating the treaty, we will eventually find proof." But the humans had anticipated this surveillance. Junho's intelligence network tracked every alien spy and monitored every communication. They knew exactly what the aliens suspected and what evidence they were looking for. "We need to be more careful," Junho told Admiral Hae-Jin Song during a secure meeting. "The Velkans know something is wrong, but they cannot prove it yet. We must not give them the evidence they need." "How long can we maintain the deception?" Hae-Jin asked. "Not much longer," Junho replied honestly. "They are getting smarter about their investigations. Eventually they will either find proof or decide to act without it." The game of deception was becoming more dangerous. The aliens were suspicious, but not certain. The humans were prepared but not ready for open war. Both sides were waiting for the other to make the first real move. The time of perfect secrecy was ending. Soon, humanity would have to choose between revealing their strength or losing the element of surprise forever. Fleet Commander Calthor studied the holographic star map in his command center. Red markers showed the positions of his warships throughout human space. The Velkans were no longer conducting secret raids. Now, they were making their presence known with official training exercises that brought military vessels dangerously close to human colonies. "Bring the Third Fleet to within 1 light hour of the Mars colonies," Calthor ordered his staff. "I want the humans to see our ships on their sensors. Let them wonder what we are planning." The strategy was simple but effective. If the humans really were hiding military capabilities, the threat to their colonies would force them to reveal their weapons. If they remained helpless, it would prove they were truly as weak as the treaty required them to be. On Earth, President Mi-young Choi received urgent reports from colonies throughout human space. Velkan warships were appearing everywhere, conducting aggressive maneuvers and making threatening broadcasts. The aliens were clearly preparing for something big. "They want us to show our hand," Admiral Hae-Jin Song explained during an emergency meeting of the Earth Defense Council. "They know we have been destroying their raiders, but they cannot prove it. So they are trying to force us into open action." Defense Minister Sang-Woo Kim looked worried. "How many ships are we tracking?" "Over 300 Velkan vessels in our space," reported Intelligence Director Junho Bae. "They are calling it the largest training exercise in coalition history." "Training? For what?" President Mi-young asked, though she already knew the answer. "Training to attack human colonies," Admiral Hae-Jin replied grimly. "They are practicing invasion routes and testing our response times. The exercises are preparation for real war." The Earth Defense Council faced an impossible choice. The Shadow Fleet now numbered over 200 hidden warships, each one capable of fighting multiple alien vessels, but revealing their existence would mean the end of 15 years of careful deception. "What are our options?" President Mi-young asked. "We can continue hiding and hope the Velkans back down," suggested Foreign Minister Dae-hai Lee. "Or we can reveal some of our capabilities and hope it deters further aggression." Admiral Hae-Jin had already made her recommendation. "We should demonstrate our defensive abilities in a way that looks accidental. Let them know we can fight back without admitting we have been preparing for war." The perfect opportunity came when Velkan ships approached the research station orbiting Jupiter's moon Europa. Captain Sang-min Ko of the Deep Space Research Station Beta had been expecting this moment for months. "Velkan fleet, This is Research Station Beta, Sang-min broadcast. You are approaching restricted space. Please maintain a safe distance from our experimental equipment. The Velkin commander's response was predictably arrogant. Human Station. We are conducting legitimate military exercises. You will not interfere with coalition operations. I understand, Sang-min replied calmly. But I must warn you that we are testing a new power generation system. The energy output could be dangerous to nearby ships. It was the perfect setup. The research station really was conducting experiments with advanced power systems. But the EI aliens did not know that the same technology could be used as a weapon. Tactical Officer Eugene Park monitored the approaching Velkin ships from her position in the station's hidden command center. The aliens were being deliberately provocative, bringing their warships close enough to threaten the station. They are within range, Eugene reported. Shall I begin the demonstration? Start the test sequence, Sang-min ordered. Make it look like an accident. What happened next would be recorded as one of the most remarkable power generation accidents in human history. The research station's experimental reactor suddenly released a massive burst of directed energy. The beam passed through space and struck 3 Velkin ships with devastating effect. The alien vessels were instantly disabled. Their shields collapsed, their weapons went offline, and their engines stopped working. They drifted helplessly in space, completely powerless, but otherwise undamaged. Velkin ships, this is Research Station Beta, Sang-min broadcast with perfectly feigned concern. We are detecting system failures in your vessels. Are you in need of assistance? The Velkin commander was stunned. His ships had been hit by what appeared to be a power surge from a civilian research station. But the energy beam had been precisely controlled, targeting only military systems while leaving life support intact. How did a research station disable 3 warships? The Velkin demanded. Our power test created an unexpected electromagnetic pulse, Sang-min explained. We had no idea it would affect your ships. We are sending repair drones to help restore your systems. The repair operation was another carefully orchestrated demonstration. Human drones quickly restored power to the Velkin ships, showing both technical capability and peaceful intentions. The aliens were left confused and suspicious, but unable to prove hostile action. Admiral Vakhtar of the Velkin First Fleet was not fooled by the explanation. He had commanded warships for 30 years, and he knew military technology when he saw it. The research station had demonstrated precise weapons control that no civilian facility should possess. That was no accident, Vakhtar reported to Fleet. Commander Calthor. The humans targeted our ships with military precision. They disabled exactly the systems they wanted to disable while leaving everything else intact. Do you have proof? Calthor asked. The energy signatures match advanced defensive systems, Vakhtar replied. This technology is far beyond what humans should be capable of building, but proving human deception was becoming increasingly difficult. Every suspicious incident had a plausible explanation. Every demonstration of capability could be explained as lucky accidents or unexpected side effects of legitimate research. Chancellor Thexmal of the Coalition Council was growing tired of Velkin complaints about human activities. You report accidents and coincidences, but you provide no evidence of treaty violations, he told the Velkin delegation. The humans have cooperated with every inspection and explained every incident. They are deceiving us, General Vexlar insisted. The patterns are too consistent to be accidents. Patterns are not proof, Chancellor Thexmal replied. If you want the Council to take action, You must provide evidence that would convince a tribunal. The Vulcans found themselves trapped by their own legal system. The coalition required proof before authorizing military action against member species, but the humans were too clever to leave obvious evidence of their deception. On Earth, President Mi-young Choi knew that the careful balance could not last much longer. The Vulcans were getting more aggressive, and the coalition was asking more questions. Soon, humanity would have to choose between complete submission and open defiance. We cannot hide forever, Admiral Hyojin Song warned during another emergency meeting. Every demonstration of our capabilities makes them more suspicious. Eventually, they will find proof or simply decide that suspicion is enough. What do you recommend? President Mi-young asked. We should prepare for the inevitable, Admiral Hyojin replied. The time for deception is almost over. When it ends, we must be ready to fight for our independence. The Shadow Fleet continued its hidden preparations while the alien provocations escalated. Vulcan ships appeared near every human colony, conducting increasingly aggressive exercises. The message was clear: submit completely or face the consequences. But the humans had their own message to send. The next time the aliens pushed too far, they would learn that humanity's 15 years of apparent weakness had been the greatest deception in galactic history. Supreme Commander Nalgrath of the Coalition Fleet stood before the assembled leaders of 12 different species. The revelation of humanity's secret weapons program had shocked the entire galaxy. For 15 years, the humans had been systematically deceiving everyone, building warships while pretending to be peaceful. The humans have violated the most fundamental principle of galactic peace, Nalgrath declared. They signed a treaty promising never to build military vessels, then immediately began constructing a secret fleet. This deception cannot be tolerated. The debate in the Coalition Council was fierce but short. Every species except humanity voted for immediate action. The humans had proven they could not be trusted to honor their agreements. They had shown that they would lie, cheat, and deceive to get what they wanted. We hereby issue this ultimatum to Earth, Chancellor Thexmal announced. All human military vessels must be surrendered for immediate destruction. Earth will accept permanent coalition oversight of all industrial activities. Any resistance to these terms will result in military action. The ultimatum was delivered to Earth with a simple deadline: 72 hours to comply or face the combined might of the coalition fleet. 3,000 warships from a dozen different species would enforce galactic law whether humanity agreed or not. President Mi-young Choi received the ultimatum in her office in Seoul, surrounded by the leaders who would decide humanity's fate. The terms were exactly what they had expected and exactly what they could never accept. Surrender means the end of human independence forever, General Bong Soo-han explained to the assembled Earth Defense Council. They will dismantle our entire space industry. We will become a client species, dependent on alien technology and alien permission for everything. Foreign Minister Dae-hai Lee studied the military analysis with growing despair. 3,000 ships against our 300. The odds are 10 to 1. How can we possibly win against those numbers? Admiral Hyojin Song stood at the head of the conference table, her face calm despite the magnitude of the crisis. For 15 years, she had prepared for this moment. The secret fleet had been built for exactly this situation. Numbers are not everything, Admiral Hyojin said quietly. Our ships are more advanced than anything the Coalition has. Our crews are better trained. Our weapons are designed specifically to fight the kind of war they want to force on us. But 10-to-1 odds? Defense Minister Sang-Woo Kim asked. David fought Goliath with worse odds, Admiral Hyejin replied. Sometimes the smaller force wins because they have advantages the larger force does not expect. The discussion continued for hours, but everyone in the room knew what the decision would be. Humanity had not spent 15 years building the Shadow fleet just to surrender it without a fight. The treaty had been signed under threat of destruction. It would be rejected under the same threat. We cannot submit to permanent alien control, President Mi-young said finally. Our children deserve to grow up free, not as subjects of species that see us as inferior. If the Coalition wants our weapons, they will have to take them. The vote was unanimous. Earth formally rejected the Coalition ultimatum and declared its withdrawal from the Galactic Accord. Any attempt to enforce alien authority over human space would be considered an act of war. Communications Director Nari Kim prepared the response message that would be broadcast to the entire galaxy. The statement was simple, direct, and uncompromising. The people of Earth reject the Coalition ultimatum, the message began. We never agreed to permanent subjugation, and we will not accept it now. Humanity withdraws from the Galactic Accord effective immediately. Any military action against human territory will be met with appropriate resistance. The message included a detailed inventory of the Shadow Fleet's capabilities. The Coalition had demanded proof of human military strength. Now they would have it. 300 ships with weapons designed to mine asteroids and industrial reactors, powerful enough to run entire colonies. We built these ships to defend our freedom, the message continued. We hoped never to use them in anger, but if the galaxy chooses to enforce tyranny through violence, we are prepared to defend ourselves. The transmission ended with coordinates for every major human colony and industrial facility. The locations were public knowledge, but the message was clear. Humanity would not hide behind deception anymore. They were ready for open war. Admiral Hyejin Song issued orders to the Shadow Fleet commanders throughout human space. Operation Freedom had begun. All ships were to reveal their true nature and take defensive positions around human colonies. Captain Dae-ho Kim received his orders aboard the former research vessel Harmony. All crew, prepare for combat operations, he announced. Drop all civilian disguises. We are no longer pretending to be peaceful. Throughout the ship, hidden panels opened to reveal weapon systems. The mining equipment rotated to show particle beam arrays. The research laboratories converted to missile launch bays. The Harmony transformed from a peaceful exploration vessel into a heavy cruiser bristling with weapons. Similar transformations occurred across human space. Mining ships revealed themselves as destroyers. Cargo haulers became missile cruisers. Construction platforms showed their true nature as mobile weapons platforms. The Shadow Fleet emerged from hiding like a dragon shedding its skin. Dr. Sora. Park monitored the fleet conversion from her position on the Harmony's bridge. All systems showing full military configuration, she reported. We are no longer bound by civilian power restrictions. All weapons at maximum capability. The psychological effect was as important as the military one. For 15 years, humanity had appeared weak and submissive. Now they showed their true strength. The species that had seemed defeated and helpless revealed itself to be armed and dangerous. Coalition intelligence agencies scrambled to reassess the threat. Their estimates of human capability had been wrong by orders of magnitude. The secret fleet was not just larger than expected, it was more advanced. Human weapons technology had progressed far beyond anything in the Coalition database. How did we miss this? Supreme Commander Nalgrath demanded from his staff. 300 warships do not build themselves. How did they hide this from our inspectors for 15 years? The answer was embarrassing. Coalition arrogance had blinded them to human ingenuity. They had seen what they expected to see and ignored what did not fit their assumptions. The humans had exploited this blindness perfectly, but the revelation changed nothing about the ultimate balance of power. 300 human ships against 3,000 coalition vessels, advanced technology against overwhelming numbers. The mathematics of warfare were unforgiving. "Begin fleet mobilization," Nalgrath ordered. "All available ships to the Sol system. We will end this rebellion quickly and decisively." The coalition fleet began moving toward Earth like a massive storm gathering strength. Ships from a dozen different species converged on human space, carrying enough firepower to destroy entire planets. The greatest military force in galactic history was being assembled to crush humanity's defiance. On Earth, civilians watched the news reports with mixture of fear and pride. Their government had chosen to fight rather than surrender. The outcome was uncertain, but at least humanity would face its fate as a free species. Admiral Hyejin Song stood in her command center, watching the tactical displays show approaching coalition forces. The war she had spent 15 years preparing for was finally beginning. The Shadow Fleet was ready, but would it be enough? "All stations report ready for combat," her tactical officer announced. "The fleet awaits your orders, Admiral." Signal. "All ships," Admiral Hyejin replied. "Message reads, we built them to keep our freedom. Now we fight to prove we deserve it." The first battle of the Human Independence War began at Tau Ceti, where Captain Dae-ho Kim commanded a small fleet of 12 Shadow Fleet vessels against 50 coalition ships. The alien commanders expected an easy victory. They outnumbered the humans 4-1, and their intelligence reports had consistently underestimated human capabilities. "Human vessels, you are ordered to surrender immediately," broadcast the coalition fleet commander. "Shut down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will result in your destruction." Captain Dae-ho Kim stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Defiance, which until recently had been disguised as a deep space construction platform. His crew had spent years pretending to build civilian structures while actually operating one of the most powerful warships ever constructed. "Coalition Fleet, this is Captain Kim of the Earth Defense Force," Dae-ho replied calmly. "You are ordered to leave human space immediately. We have no desire for war, but we will defend our freedom." The coalition commander laughed at the apparent arrogance of the human captain. 12 ships against 50, and the humans were making demands. "Begin attack pattern Alpha. Disable their engines first. We want prisoners for interrogation." What happened next would change the course of galactic history. The human ships dropped their remaining civilian disguises and revealed weapons systems that no one in the coalition had ever seen before. Particle beams designed for asteroid mining carved through alien armor like it was paper. Industrial fusion. Reactors-powered energy shields that could absorb the heaviest bombardment. "Target their command ships first," Dae-ho ordered his tactical officer. "Show them what human engineering can do." The first coalition ship to die was a Velkin heavy cruiser that had been leading the attack formation. A single beam from the Defiance's main weapon cut the alien vessel in half, causing its reactor to explode in a brilliant flash of light. The remaining coalition ships scattered in confusion. "Impossible!" the coalition commander shouted over the communication channel. "Our intelligence reports said they had only basic defensive capabilities." "Your intelligence was wrong," Daeho replied as his fleet pressed their attack. "We have been preparing for this war for 15 years. Admiral Hyejin Song watched the battle from her command center on Earth, coordinating the defense from her position aboard the hidden fortress that had been disguised as an orbital research station. Her tactical display showed impossible results. Human forces were not merely holding their own against superior numbers, they were winning. Tau Ceti reports 6 enemy ships destroyed, no human losses, her communications officer announced. The Coalition fleet is retreating from the system. Confirmed at Kepler Station, another officer reported. 8 Coalition ships disabled, enemy forces withdrawing. Proxima Base reports complete victory, a third officer added. 12 enemy vessels destroyed, minimal damage to our forces. The reports kept coming from across human space. Every engagement followed the same pattern. Coalition forces expecting easy victories against helpless humans, only to encounter weapons technology that exceeded their wildest estimates. Engineer Min-Seo Han monitored the fleet performance from her position aboard the Defiance. Her designs were performing beyond specifications. The dual-purpose systems that had fooled inspectors for years were proving superior to dedicated military hardware. Weapon efficiency at 120% of design specifications, Min-Seo reported, with satisfaction. The mining laser arrays are more effective against military targets than we predicted. Power systems? Daeho asked. Fusion reactors operating at full capacity with no strain, Min-Seo replied. Industrial-grade equipment is built to operate continuously under harsh conditions. Military reactors are designed for peak performance, but ours are designed for reliability. The psychological impact of human victories was spreading throughout the Coalition fleet. These were supposed to be the defeated remnants of a broken species. They were supposed to be grateful for alien protection and guidance. Instead, they were fighting with determination and skill that exceeded anything in Coalition military doctrine. Supreme Commander Nalgrath received the battle reports with growing disbelief. His carefully planned campaign was falling apart. Human technology was more advanced than any intelligence estimate had suggested. Human tactics were innovative and aggressive. Human morale was unbreakable. Order all fleets to regroup and reassess, Nalgrath commanded. We need new intelligence on their actual capabilities before we can plan effective attacks. But the momentum of battle was turning against the Coalition. News of human victories spread through their ranks, while reports of human strength reached every species in the galaxy. The humans were not the helpless victims everyone had expected. President Mi-Young Choi addressed the people of Earth from her office in Seoul. The first day of open war had exceeded everyone's hopes. Human forces had won every engagement while suffering minimal losses. Our brave crews have proven that freedom is worth fighting for, President Mi-Young announced. The Shadow Fleet has emerged from hiding to defend our independence. We built these ships in secret because we refused to remain helpless. Today they have shown the galaxy why we built them anyway. The war continued for 3 more days before the Coalition requested a ceasefire. Their losses had been catastrophic, while human casualties remained light. The mathematics of warfare had been turned upside down by superior technology and superior determination. Admiral Hyejin Song received the ceasefire request while standing on the bridge of her flagship. Around her, the crew that had spent 15 years preparing for this moment watched their tactical displays show Coalition forces retreating from human space. They want to negotiate, Admiral Hyejin announced to her bridge crew. They are requesting terms for ending hostilities. The negotiations took place in neutral space, aboard a diplomatic station operated by the few species that had remained neutral during the conflict. Chancellor Thex Maul of the Coalition Council met with President Mi Young Choi to discuss the new reality of galactic politics. Humanity has proven its point, Chancellor Thex Maul said with obvious reluctance. Your military capabilities are clearly sufficient for self-defense. The Coalition is prepared to recognize human independence and withdraw from your territory. We want more than withdrawal, President Mi Young replied firmly. We want formal recognition of our right to maintain military forces. We want trade, agreements as equals, not subjects. We want our colonies protected by our own fleet, not yours. The terms were harsh but fair. Humanity had won their independence through superior preparation and superior courage. The galaxy would have to accept them as equals or face the consequences of continued war. As the peace treaty was signed, Admiral Hai-Jin Song reflected on the 15 years of deception that had made victory possible. The secret shipyards, the hidden weapons, the careful lies told to alien inspectors. Every part of the plan had worked exactly as intended. The Shadow Fleet emerged fully into the light, their true nature no longer hidden. Mining vessels revealed massive weapon arrays. Research ships dropped their scientific pretenses to show military capabilities. Construction platforms unveiled themselves as mobile fortresses. Across human space, civilian workers who had spent years maintaining the deception finally revealed their true identities. Engineers who had built weapons while calling them tools. Scientists who had developed military technology while claiming to study peaceful applications. Crews who had trained for war while pretending to explore the galaxy. We built them anyway, Admiral Hai-Jin said as she watched the treaty signing ceremony. They told us we could not have warships, so we built mining vessels that could fight. They told us we could not have weapons, so we built tools that could kill. They told us we must remain weak, so we became strong in secret. The final entry in Admiral Hai-Jin Song's personal log would become famous throughout human history. Today, humanity proved that freedom cannot be taken away by treaties or threats. We built our ships in defiance of alien law because we refused to accept permanent subjugation. The galaxy tried to keep us weak, but we built them anyway. The human independence war was over, but its lessons would echo through the galaxy for generations. Never again would any species assume that humans could be controlled through force or intimidation. The Shadow Fleet had become the Free Fleet, and humanity had taken its place among the galaxy's great powers. They had built them to defend their freedom. They had used them to prove they deserved it. And when the history of this age was written, it would remember the humans who refused to stay weak and built warships anyway.